Welcome to a very special edition of Kernels.
Glad to be here.
All right, I'm Sam Bouwers, consultant for continuing ed, and on this live in the field edition of Kernels, I'm interviewing Sam Helmick of the Iowa City Public Library. Specifically today, we are here in the Bookmobile talking about outreach and bookmobiles and everything fun. So, Sam, how'd you get started in the Bookmobile? What does your journey here look like?
Oh, my journey looks like I started in Burlington, Iowa. I was doing outreach and marketing and absolutely loved it. When an opportunity for supporting the Bookmobile team at the Iowa City Public Library came up, I just jumped at it. I'm really excited to bring circulation out to the fray of outreach, because that's what we're really trying to do with all outreach, is just kind of make sure that services are getting into the hands of the communities we serve.
So the Bookmobile at Iowa City is more than just a vehicle.
Definitely.
It's an outreach tool. So talk about how you see, like, why did Iowa City choose this venue for outreach?
That's a great question. So when you're serving a population and you start to see that there are pockets of it that are underserved or unserved, you try to find solutions for that. And obviously the traditional tools of outreach are really good, especially when you can find stakeholders and community partners to align with to accomplish that. But then we needed to kind of get two other pieces of the library into folks' hands: the collection, but also like that services point where you want to renew your cards, you want to manage your account, you want to download digital materials. We wanted to make sure that we were getting those services out there to you where you organically exist in the community, and then you didn't always have to come to us. Mm-hmm. And it was easier to do that with a help desk or outreach on wheels, because when you have a beautiful library in the downtown heart of your community, you don't want to isolate any other of the three pockets. So we just drive around the community and meet you where you're at.
So logistically, what goes on the Bookmobile? What kind of collection do you have here? How are you supporting, collection-wise, how are you supporting your community through this tool?
That's a great question too. So we have something for everybody, whether it's board books for your absolute littles or audio books because you're going to be traveling on the road yourself. We try to have a popular collections sort of eye or lens when we're choosing materials that go on here, because this may be your only library experience. This may be the only time we ever connect with you. So we want to make sure that you have the most popular, hottest titles that you can have access to, and you're not constantly waiting forever, because, you know, we like to put things on hold. But if you do put things on hold, we'll have those here for you too.
So you could put things on hold in the general collection and choose one of these Bookmobile stops as your pickup location.
And what's great about it is that the Bookmobile goes out about 20 different stops 5 days a week. So even if your typical Bookmobile stop is in one piece of town, your hold's going to be here for you for 7 days. So if you're like, I'm going to be at Waterfront Hy-Vee, I can pick up my groceries and my holds that day instead. We're here to help.
Hey, that's awesome. And so you're not going to pick up, you know, that 15 or 20-year-old book on political science, you know, the hottest political candidate for 20 years ago that you might still get at the downtown branch.
Definitely.
But you can maybe get the new one on, you know, the hottest presidential candidate next time around or whatever.
Right, or titles that you're kind of seeing on book lists that you'd really like to enjoy now. And now you don't have to wait, because you hop onto the Bookmobile and you find it right there for you.
So tell me about some of the partnerships, some of the stops that you make.
So we're kind of delighted that we have had a very open relationship with a lot of community partners. So we have places like Old Mill East and Legacy Living, where we try to connect with our senior living centers and those pockets of our population. But then we also kind of go to all pieces of life to the other spectrum, where we have feeder programs with preschools and community service centers like Pheasant Ridge, so that if you're in preschool, you know that your class is going to come and see us on Thursdays. If you're at Oak Knoll, then you know that we're going to come and visit you on Fridays.
Mm-hmm. And how did you choose, like, some of the other stops? Are you looking at community demographics and who's not in the library and who is in the library? Right,
so we had some of that traditional outreach work and experience that kind of influenced and informed that conversation, but then we sort of looked at heat maps and looked at our different, like, zip codes and laid that over our card holders and started to see, oh, there are pockets of the community that aren't connecting with us. Let's go to them and see how we can help. So that's been incredibly useful to us.
So you did start with some of that data to say, okay, I can see here, here, and here. Right. We don't have people using us. And now, you know, some libraries, and maybe in a slightly bigger town, might say maybe we need to consider a branch in that spot. But Iowa City felt like we can't put branches in all those towns, but here's something we can do.
Definitely, because we didn't, again, want to isolate people in other portions of the community that would feel like even further isolated if a branch existed beyond that downtown heart point. But then, you know, outreach really serves us well. It allows us to be flexible and have agility and to kind of go where the needs change, because we know that our communities continue to grow and expand, but we're rapidly seeing change in culture, so we want to be able to just meet it where it's at. So this is useful because if you have a art or film festival, a climate fest, Latino fest, Pride, we can also be there in those moments, because the branch can't go to a parade, but the Bookmobile can.
Hey, I love that. Now, you were telling me about Climate Fest earlier, so what made you decide it was okay to drive a great big truck to Climate Fest?
Right, so we have a wonderful collection on climate change and environmentalism, and are incredibly conscious with the City of Iowa City's initiatives on that, but then we also were able to show off our solar panels that help energize and keep the battery packs going in the Bookmobile. So we're trying to not only be sustainable and renewable with our collections, but also with how we get those to folks in the community.
That's so cool. Is our solar panels a common feature on Bookmobile? I was floored when I heard you guys had them on there.
I get the impression that it was kind of new when we did it, but others are adopting to it. It's really cool because the American Library Association has a branch of Bookmobile and outreach services, so you can kind of go to conferences, get on the listserv, and kind of learn from each other.
That's awesome. Talking about branches, so I'm going to ask you something else. Well, so share about how the staffing works. So you guys are all experienced semi-truck drivers. You know, how are you guys feeling about the driving part? Because that feels a little intimidating.
So we have an incredibly talented staff. Each member has a chauffeur's Class D license, and that's a requirement for this role. And then we go through X amount of hours of training and on-the-road experience. The City of Iowa City was really kind and let me borrow a little dump truck to practice on before I even had to take my test. So I was really appreciative of that. There are always two members of the team on board, so you're supported not only with circulation and outreach, but also supporting each other and being safe on the road. And then I just think it's a lot of fun to know what your stops are going to be, kind of get into that routine, and just let the excitement be when folks come into the doors.
So you have the same staff on the Bookmobile the same days for the same stops then?
We do. So we have 4-hour stops twice a day to make sure that staff get out into the community and get to do that good work, but then they all serve different functions inside the building as well. Some of them work switchboard, some of them work in children's services, others work in community access services with me. And so that was a much more sustainable model too. Staffing a Bookmobile is a little bit more simplistic than trying to ask a community to staff an entire branch.
Right. And I think this is what I was going to ask earlier, as far as, you know, the mobility and access that the Bookmobile gives you. If you notice one part of town really is growing, you can really quickly get over there with the Bookmobile and say, you know, we couldn't have built a branch in a week, but we can add a Bookmobile stop in a week.
Right, because today you and I are at an orchard, and we knew that they were going to have classes and programming at this orchard, and that it's kind of on the outskirts of the community in the rural area, so we were kind of seeing the Venn diagram of access to rural patrons, but also knowing folks would be here and could connect with their Bookmobile then. And then in the fall, and after the fall is done, we'll switch it up in spring and summer, and we'll meet them where they're at, because the community shifts.
Do you have other rural stops for Johnson County?
We try to stay in Iowa City proper and kind of hit on the edges, because we have so many wonderful libraries in the Johnson County area that serve. So we try to just kind of support each other in that shared space and do our best in our spheres.
So now, when you moved to Iowa City, you had no Bookmobile experience.
No, we did have. I was a man with a van for a little while, and we took books to folks, and
okay.
But something at this scale is very new for me and genuinely exciting, because you have folks who just need Wi-Fi, or they need to just come in and connect with their community library, and we're able to offer that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so driving the Bookmobile, not a totally new experience, but how many books have you dumped on the floor?
Oh, I think I've lost count, but I think it's a rite of passage, because you hit a curve just tiny, like just a little bump, and then the whole thing can go on you. So I've become very well versed and familiar with the collection as I shift it and put it back up on the shelves a couple times.
Yeah, I imagine that's another advantage of how the collection is set up. If you have maybe a more adult-heavy stop ahead of you, you could swap in some adult books, yes. Swap out less kids' books, but
definitely. So yeah, picking up books is a fun game, and then honking at folks as they wave to the Bookmobile is also. Those are some of my favorite things about this unique service point for Iowa City.
How long? So Iowa City had the vision. So someone said we should get a Bookmobile.
Right.
How long from when someone said that to when you guys are out driving around?
That's a great question. So we have 3-year strategic plans, and somebody planted that seed, I'm going to estimate, around 2014, and it was just kind of to reach our underserved populations to kind of resolve that issue of needing a branch and expanding services beyond the heart of downtown. And by 2017, you had a schedule and a bookmobile and a dedicated team ready to hit the open road and support you. And we're about to be 5 this April.
5.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Bookmobile. Are you throwing a party?
I plan to. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All for library parties. I think we can throw more of those.
Some bookmobile cake. I think we'll be doing it.
Oh, you could definitely make a Bookmobile cake.
Wouldn't that be adorable? Yeah.
So good. So if there was a town that was thinking, or a library was thinking, I think maybe we should try this Bookmobile thing. What is something you would say to encourage them? What are some things you would tell them to watch out for as far as challenges?
So I think it's like with all outreach services, you want to align it with the strategic goals of your stakeholders, whether it's your municipality, your library board of trustees, or your sponsors and friends of the library. So I think kind of having those long-form conversations about what are our shared values, what are we willing and committing our resources to in the next 3 to 5 years, and how do we make this work, really will inform that discussion. And then you go and you look at those pockets of the community that you've identified with your outreach services and assess, well, what kind of a tool are we going to need to best serve them? Is it a book bike? Is it a bookmobile? Is it a man with a van? And you'll figure it out that way.
Yeah. And what has been some particular challenges that you guys have had to overcome over the last 5 years of doing this?
I would say that you're out into the community, so, driving a big old bookmobile, knocking down some books. That's not something I typically get to do at the help desk. Most of the books stay on the shelves downtown.
Yes.
But then it's also just wanting to serve more places than you probably can. So just kind of giving yourself permission to know that slow is steady and steady is fast. And just really leading into those stats, really leading into strategic planning and future casting, and just being open with this is a learning process for all of us. The schedule may not look like this in 2 years, and that's okay. The community will grow with us.
Do you feel like you've had some more demand for stops than you can currently address, or you?
It happens more in the summer than in the fall.
Yeah.
And I think if we put it open to the community, we probably would. But right now, we're just trying to steadily hit those points that we saw were underserved and make sure that the mission that we set out to accomplish is being honored.
Yeah. Now you mentioned people can set up cards, renew cards, do all that stuff in here. So have you seen some of those hot spots flare down then, as far as where cards are being issued and how they're being used?
I'm seeing an effect, and it's been absolute joy. I think we're also seeing an effect post-pandemic, or mid-pandemic, but post-calibration of what we plan to do with the bookmobile. And so seeing those community pockets experience the library for the first time because everybody's outside more and they're seeing us more and there's that visibility has really started to show in our monthly stats. So I'm delighted that some stops have fewer door counts, but they have incredibly high serve and vice versa.
Yeah. Star Wars.
No.
The Fly. I'm looking for Fly Guy. More Star Wars. You know what the Fly Guy would be?
Yeah. So, see if we had any kind of hopping over here. I had a few of them a minute ago.
Yes, they all checked.
I think they might all be checked out. I'm going to double check.
By the Fly Guy?
I think
What else do you want to tell me about the bookmobile? What have I forgotten? I don't think we can see you.
Oh, that's okay.
That's okay.
So,
the camera moved enough. We're now off camera.
well, I guess how it's enhanced from outreach is that, again, you've got that service point, and this may be the only time that a library patron interacts with their library, so this will become their home library. So kind of leaning back on those really good circulation skills, but then those outreach goals is just essential. So if anybody has questions about this and would like to reach out, you can always connect with us at Iowa City Public Library, and we'd love to kind of help you start that journey too.
Yeah, yeah. I love what you said to me when I walked on, which was "Welcome to your library," and that's true. It's just a library on wheels.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Sam, for your time, and thanks to your staff who's here today too. Tom is back there behind the camera, so I'm looking forward to spending a little time on the bookmobile today.
Fantastic.